I didn't think sleep mattered that much, at least not until the morning I woke up and didn't feel like myself anymore. Not tired exactly, but empty. You know that kind of emptiness, don't you? The kind that doesn't show up on blood tests or in the doctor's charts. It shows up when you sit on the edge of your bed in the early morning, hands resting on your knees, and you realize you haven't felt like you in a very long time. It was around my 70th birthday. My grandson had just turned 5, and I remember him asking Grandpa, "Why don't you run with me anymore?" I told him something about my knees, but that wasn't the truth. The truth was my energy had changed. My body didn't respond the way it used to. My thoughts were slower. I wasn't sleeping badly exactly, I was sleeping wrong. As a urologist, I had spent over 3 decades helping men fix their hormones, restore their confidence, and get back to living fully. But even with all my experience, I had overlooked the most basic thing: my sleep posture. I had always slept on my back. It was comfortable, familiar, but one night, out of frustration, I turned to my side. No expectation, just surrender. That one subtle shift, it started something. Within weeks, I noticed I wasn't waking up to urinate as often. My morning erections returned, my mood steadied, and for the first time in years, I felt that quiet, electric hum of masculine energy again. Testosterone doesn't just live in your blood, it lives in your rituals, the way you breathe, the way you rest, the way you sleep. That's what I want to share with you tonight. Not a sales pitch, not a miracle cure. Just a small, nearly invisible change that changed everything for me and might just change something for you too. Because sometimes the door to healing isn't a bottle of pills or a new doctor. Sometimes it's just a different way of lying down. So if you're over 60 and something feels off, if your mornings feel more hollow than they used to, stay with me. This isn't about fixing you. It's about helping you remember who you've always been. Part 1. How sleep posture affects hormone regulation. Most men don't connect their sleeping position to their hormones. Why would they? When you're lying in bed drifting off after a long day, the last thing on your mind is testosterone, or cortisol, or melatonin. You're just trying to rest, that's all. But over the years, I've come to understand something, especially in men past 60. Hormones are not just made in the glands. They're made in silence, in darkness, in stillness, and the way you place your body at night can either help that process or disrupt it entirely. Let me tell you about Frank. Frank was 72 when he came to see me. Retired engineer, proud grandfather, strong, capable hands, but a sadness behind his eyes he couldn't hide. He told me, "Doc, I sleep 8 hours every night, but I wake up like I've been run over by a truck. No morning wood, no energy, no desire." I asked him about medications, diet, alcohol, all the usual culprits, but something didn't sit right. I watched the way he rubbed his lower back, the way he shifted in his seat, that subtle discomfort, that weariness men carry but never mention. So I asked a strange question, "Frank, how do you sleep?" He looked confused. "On my stomach. Been that way since I was a boy." There it was. See, when you sleep on your stomach, your pelvis is compressed. Your spine flattens. Blood flow to the groin is reduced, your bladder gets agitated, and your body feels constant low-level tension. That tension keeps your cortisol levels elevated. Now, here's where it gets important. Cortisol, the stress hormone, blocks testosterone production. It also interferes with melatonin, the hormone responsible for deep, restorative sleep. So even if you sleep 8 hours, your body may never enter the healing states where testosterone is naturally rebuilt. It's like leaving your phone on the charger all night only to wake up and realize it's still at 30%. Frank shifted his sleep posture over the course of a few weeks. We worked on side sleeping, added a pillow between the knees, adjusted his mattress to reduce pressure points. A month later, he walked into my office, not beaming, not overjoyed, but relieved. "I didn't think something that simple could help," he said, "but I feel clearer. I'm waking up rested." Even my wife noticed. Let me tell you something most men never hear. Testosterone isn't just built in the testicles, it's restored in rest. When you lie flat on your back or stomach for hours, you compress the pathways that deliver oxygen-rich blood to your pelvis. The body interprets that as stress. Micro-stress maybe, but when it happens every single night, it adds up. And in older men where blood flow and hormone production are already declining, every percentage point counts. Even melatonin, the sleep hormone, is affected by posture. Melatonin production is linked to temperature, pressure, and relaxation. If your diaphragm is restricted, if your gut is compressed, or if you're snoring heavily because of poor neck positioning, your body fights against itself. It never fully drops into the rhythm that allows melatonin to do its work. which means less deep sleep and even less testosterone the next day. So here's what I tell my older male patients now. Don't just sleep. Sleep intentionally. Side sleeping, especially on your left side, opens up blood flow to the lower abdomen. A pillow between the knees aligns your hips and reduces pelvic tension. A slightly elevated head position can reduce snoring and protect REM cycles. These are not hacks. They're habits. Small shifts that signal to your body you are safe to heal. Because that's all testosterone really is. A signal. A signal from your body that says you are alive, you are vital, you are still a man. And sometimes that signal starts with how you lie down at night. Part 2. What urologists observe in 70-year-olds. I've sat across from hundreds of men in their 70s, same story, different faces. Some of them come in joking, "Doc, I think my rocket's out of fuel." Others sit quietly, eyes lowered, waiting until I ask the hard questions. That's when it pours out. They're not just worried about performance. They're worried about disappearing, fading, becoming invisible to their wives, their children, even to themselves. At 70, the changes are subtle but relentless. Testosterone levels drop. That much is common knowledge, but it's not just about libido or erections. Testosterone affects everything: muscle mass, red blood cell production, fat distribution, energy levels, motivation, even memory. But here's what most men don't realize. One of the earliest signs of testosterone decline isn't in the blood, it's in the morning. Or rather, the absence of morning erections. And when I dig into these men's routines, I find something fascinating. Almost all of them are sleeping the wrong way. Let me take you into my memory for a second. There was a patient, Bill 74, veteran, mechanic, the kind of man who'd shake your hand with a grip that told stories. He said, "Doc, I think I'm just getting old. My sleep's crap, I pee 3 times a night, and my wife says I'm cranky." When I asked him about his sleep habits, he shrugged. "I just flop on the bed, usually on my stomach, sometimes half-turned. I don't think it matters." But it does matter. Here's why. When men sleep in positions that compress the abdomen, like on the stomach or curled tightly on one side, it reduces circulation to the lower pelvic region. That's the same region responsible for sexual function, bladder health, and hormone regulation. Over time, poor sleep posture becomes poor pelvic health. And here's where it gets worse: disrupted circulation can lead to more frequent urination at night. Not because of prostate enlargement alone, but because of pressure and inflammation in the surrounding tissues. That interrupts sleep cycles. Less deep sleep means less REM. And guess what? REM is the sleep stage where testosterone surges. It's a cascade. Poor posture, disrupted blood flow, more nighttime urination, reduced REM, lower testosterone, fatigue, and eventually, a man who doesn't feel like a man anymore. Now, I'm not saying posture is the only culprit. Aging is complex. But posture is one of the few things you can actually control. It's like this. If you're sailing a boat and the wind's against you, you can't change the wind, but you can adjust your sails. And that's what I see in men around 70. They've been drifting with bad sleep habits for decades, and by the time the hormonal winds shift, they feel powerless. But the truth is, the sails are still yours to adjust. I often run a little test in my clinic. I ask my older patients to try changing one thing for 2 weeks. Sleep on their side, use a firm pillow between their knees, and keep their chest open, not curled. It's not a magic trick. It won't make them 30 again, but nearly 7 out of 10 come back with small miracles. I woke up only once last night. My back didn't hurt in the morning. My wife said I smiled in my sleep. I felt something I hadn't felt in a while. That something is vitality. And it starts to return when the body feels safe, supported, and oxygenated during rest. You don't need fancy supplements or expensive equipment. You need alignment of your spine, your hips, your breath, your nervous system. Because when your body is aligned, your hormones follow. Bill didn't believe me at first. He thought it was some yoga nonsense. But after 2 months of posture-based sleep, he told me something I'll never forget. He leaned in, grinning like a teenager, and said, "Doc, I'm dreaming again. I forgot how good that felt." There's a strange kind of hope that comes when you remember your body isn't broken, it's just been ignored. And sometimes all it takes to start remembering is lying down the right way. Part 3. Which sleep habit urologists change first? If there's one habit I ask my older male patients to change before anything else, it's this. Stop sleeping on your stomach. I know it sounds almost too simple. Men look at me sideways when I say it. "Doc, I've been sleeping like that for 40 years. Why would it suddenly be a problem now?" The answer is, it was always a problem. Your body was just better at compensating for it when you were younger. But after 60, your physiology gets less forgiving. Let me paint you a picture. When you sleep on your stomach, your head is turned sharply to one side, your spine twists, your diaphragm gets compressed, and your pelvis presses into the mattress. This position restricts oxygen flow, disturbs spinal alignment, and most importantly for men puts consistent pressure on the lower abdomen and groin. And here's the kicker. That pressure reduces nighttime blood flow to the penis, the very flow that's needed for those unconscious nocturnal erections. Now you might think those don't matter anymore, but they do. They matter a lot. Nocturnal erections are the body's way of keeping penile tissue oxygenated and healthy. When they disappear, it's often a warning sign, a canary in the coal mine, that blood flow is being compromised. Over time, this leads to weaker erections during the day, poorer urinary control, and lower testosterone output. And stomach sleeping is one of the biggest culprits behind that slow decline. I remember a man named Ray, a widower in his late 60s, tall, quiet, and always polite. He'd been waking up multiple times a night to pee and told me flat out, "I don't expect miracles. I just want to stop feeling so damn exhausted all the time." We talked through his habits, diet, meds, stress. But when I asked how he slept, he said, face down, always been more comfortable. Comfortable, but not healthy. I asked him to try something different. Nothing complicated, just 2 changes. Shift from stomach to side sleeping. Add a pillow between his knees to keep his hips aligned. He winced. That's gonna feel weird. I nodded. Probably. For a week, but if it helps, it'll be worth it. A month later, he came back with a slow smile and a question. Why didn't anyone tell me this 20 years ago? He wasn't exaggerating. Within a few weeks, Ray was sleeping through the night. Fewer bathroom trips, more energy. And as he shyly admitted, some life returned in places I thought were done for. Here's why it worked. Side sleeping, especially on the left side, improves circulation to the pelvic region. It reduces pressure on major arteries and organs, including the bladder and prostate. It supports spinal alignment, which helps reduce nerve compression and pain. And most importantly, it allows the lower body to relax fully. Relaxation isn't just about comfort. It's a biochemical invitation to healing. When your body feels safe, it lowers cortisol and increases melatonin. 2 key players in the sleep hormone connection. With less cortisol, your body isn't locked in stress mode. With more melatonin, you drift deeper into REM, the stage where testosterone surges naturally. So yes, the habit sounds simple, but the cascade of effects is anything but. Change your sleep posture, reduce pelvic tension, improve blood flow, decrease nighttime urination, increase deep sleep, boost testosterone. That's not theory, that's biology. And yet so many men sleep every night in a way that blocks this entire process, unknowingly sabotaging their own restoration. It's not their fault. No one teaches men about sleep posture. We're told to get 8 hours, but not how to use those hours wisely, not how to position the body in a way that promotes circulation, hormone release, and tissue repair. That's why I always start here. Before we talk about supplements, before we talk about hormone therapy, before we talk about devices or medications, we talk about posture. Because if your body doesn't feel safe at rest, nothing else will matter. Ray is one of hundreds of men I've walked through this change. It's not flashy, it doesn't get attention in health magazines, but for older men, it's often the most powerful step toward reclaiming what age and habit have quietly taken away. And all it takes is turning to your side. Part 4. The science behind sleep, posture, and hormones. Somewhere along the way, sleep became background noise, something passive, automatic. A place you visit at night without thinking much about how you get there or what your body does once you've arrived. But inside your body, while you're sleeping, a symphony plays out. Hormones rise and fall in rhythms older than memory. Blood vessels expand and contract. Brain waves slow into stillness. And if one part of that symphony falls out of tune, the entire system suffers. Posture is one of those hidden conductors. Let's step out of the exam room for a moment and into the lab. A 2012 study published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism followed a group of healthy men and restricted their deep sleep for just 1 week. The result? Their testosterone levels dropped by up to 15% in 7 days. No changes in diet, no medication, just poorer quality of sleep. But here's where it gets deeper. A 2018 Japanese study tracked how different sleep positions affect bladder pressure and circulation in older adults. They found that men who slept in the supine flat on back or prone on stomach position had significantly more nocturia, that's waking up to urinate, than those who slept on their sides. Why? Because those positions exert chronic low-level pressure on the bladder and the inferior vena cava, the major vein that returns blood to the heart from the lower body. That pressure disrupts not just sleep, but blood oxygenation, pelvic circulation, and hormonal balance. Blood flow is not just about erections, it's how testosterone gets delivered, how your pituitary gland reads the body's needs and adjusts hormone production. When that system is choked even gently night after night, decline is inevitable. I've had patients who were put on testosterone therapy before anyone asked about how they slept. That's like watering a plant while it's still sitting in the dark. Posture matters. Another study, this one from Stanford, used infrared imaging to monitor pelvic blood flow during various sleep positions. They saw up to 26% more pelvic circulation in side sleepers compared to those on their stomachs. 26%. That's not a rounding error. That's life-changing for an aging man. Here's something else that blew my mind. A 2021 meta-analysis showed that men who experienced more frequent REM sleep even without increasing total sleep time had better testosterone regulation and lower morning cortisol levels. And what determines your REM quality? Your comfort, your alignment, your ability to stay asleep without pressure pain or interruption. Which brings us full circle to posture again. But let's leave the studies behind for a minute, because I know what you might be thinking. Doc, this all sounds too complicated. I just want to sleep. I hear that. And I tell you, it's not about complicating your night. It's about simplifying your body's path back to balance. You don't need to understand every hormone. You just need to understand this. Your body listens to your posture. When you lie in a way that compresses, restricts, or stresses your organs, your body stays in alert mode. That's survival, not restoration. And hormones are built during restoration. Testosterone peaks during the first 2 REM cycles of the night. If those cycles are interrupted by pressure on the bladder, shallow breathing, or back pain from poor spinal alignment, you'll miss that window and your body won't make it up later. Men come to me with blood work showing borderline low testosterone and ask for a shot, a gel, a supplement. And sometimes those things are helpful. But what I really want to ask is, how long have you been sleeping against yourself? Because sleep is supposed to be a cooperation, not a battle. And when you finally give your body permission to relax, to open, to breathe deeply through the night, something ancient starts to wake back up inside you. Something male, something strong, something soft but powerful. Your hormones are listening, every night, whether you know it or not, and all they want is a better place to rebuild. Part 5. Practical advice. How to fix your sleep posture after 70. By the time most men reach 70, they've grown used to their routines. Same chair at the dinner table, same spot on the couch, same way of folding their shirts, and almost always, the same way of sleeping. So when I suggest adjusting sleep posture, not just the number of hours, but how they sleep, the reaction is usually the same, a pause, followed by resistance. Doc, I'm too old to change that now. But here's the truth, you're not. You've lived through breakups, surgeries, wars, retirements, funerals, and financial storms. Don't tell me you can't roll over in bed. Change doesn't need to be dramatic to be powerful. It just needs to be intentional. So if you're over 60, or especially over 70, here's what I recommend. This isn't theory. It's what I've seen work over and over again in real men with real bodies and real habits. Step 1. Ditch the stomach sleeping. If you do nothing else, do this. Sleeping on your stomach compresses your spine, strains your neck, and flattens the natural curve of your lower back. It also restricts blood flow to your groin and presses on your bladder, increasing your risk of nighttime urination. It might feel natural, but it's not healthy, especially not at your age. Expect the first few nights to be uncomfortable. That's okay. You're retraining decades of muscle memory. Be patient with your body. Give it time. Step 2. Embrace side sleeping, preferably on your left. Why the left side? Because it promotes better circulation to the heart and pelvis. It also reduces acid reflux, supports lymphatic drainage, and minimizes pressure on your spine. Place a medium firm pillow between your knees. This keeps your hips aligned and relieves tension from your lower back. Some men even benefit from a body pillow to keep their chest open and prevent rolling onto their stomachs in the night. Side sleeping doesn't just help your back. It helps your blood vessels, your bladder, and your testosterone. Step 3. Upgrade your pillow and mattress. Most men don't realize their pillow is wrecking their neck every night. Choose a pillow that keeps your head level with your spine, not bent up or down. If you wake up with stiffness in your shoulders or numbness in your hands, that's a sign your pillow height or firmness is wrong. For your mattress, think support, not softness. A too soft mattress lets your hips sink, misaligning the lower spine. A medium firm or firm mattress with slight cushioning is ideal. Your goal isn't to feel like you're sleeping on a cloud, it's to keep your spine in a neutral position. Step 4. Create a pre-sleep ritual that supports the change. Old habits fight to stay alive, but rituals create space for new ones. Before bed, try a short warm shower. The heat loosens tight muscles, making it easier to settle into a new posture. Practice lying in the new position before you're sleepy. Let your body become familiar with it without the pressure to fall asleep. This lowers resistance. Dim the lights, turn off screens, put a pillow behind your back to prevent rolling. Your bedroom should feel like a retreat, not a battleground. Step 5. Monitor subtle changes, not just big ones. Don't wait for a testosterone test to tell you it's working. Watch for signs your body is shifting. Waking up less often to urinate. Feeling more rested without changing your total sleep hours. Morning erections returning even lightly. More stable energy during the day. A mood that feels more grounded, less reactive. These are quiet signs, but they are real, and they signal that your body is finally doing what it's wanted to do for years: heal. I remember a man named Carlos, 76, widowed, alone in a small house. He told me once I didn't think sleep mattered anymore. I figured I'd just rest when I was gone. That broke my heart. But we worked together for 2 months just on sleep posture. He wrote in one of his check-ins, "I don't know how to explain it, doc, but I feel like I'm coming back to myself, like I'm not drifting anymore." That's not a small thing. That's a man remembering that his body is still his. And maybe tonight you could do the same. Just a pillow, a new position, a quiet message to yourself. I'm not done yet. You're not too late to start over. I want to leave you with something soft tonight. Not a lesson, not a warning, just a reminder. Your body still listens, even after 60, even after 70, even after all the years you spent ignoring the signs it tried to whisper. Maybe your back aches in the morning. Maybe your nights are interrupted by trips to the bathroom. Maybe you miss waking up and feeling like a man. You're not broken. You're not too late. You're just overdue for a little kindness. Somewhere in all the routines, the bills, the kids growing up and moving out, you forgot that your body needs tending. Just like your garden, just like your tools, just like your soul. And maybe, just maybe, something as simple as the way you lay your head each night has been stealing strength from you, one quiet breath at a time. But it doesn't have to stay that way. You don't need a new life, you just need a new angle. One small shift in how you sleep can ripple into how you wake, how you feel, how you walk through your day. That's not theory, that's your nervous system, your circulation, your hormone rhythm, finally given the chance to work with you, not against you. I've seen men in their 70s and 80s come back to life not with injections or gimmicks, but with rest, real deep rest. So tonight when you lie down, try something different. Support your knees, open your chest, let your pelvis breathe, and listen to the silence that follows. That silence is you healing. If any part of this touched something in you, even just a little, I'd love to hear it. Type 1 in the comments if this feels like your story. Type 0 if not so, I know who's still out there listening. Your next chapter isn't waiting at some clinic. It's waiting in your bed in how you choose to rest tonight.